Opening an Adobe Illustrator file, go to the Start menu, choose All Programs, go to the Adobe Master Collection CS6 folder, choose Adobe Illustrator CS6. Setting up a new document, go to File, New. You can name your document here, select the number of artboards, the type of file, and the default size is set up as letter. Make sure your units are in inches, and you can change the page orientation for your artboard to either portrait or landscape here. Click OK. Your artboard is the white rectangle with a black bounding box. To the left are your tools for Adobe Illustrator, and your working windows are on the right. You can double click. You can click on the expansion key, which is a set of double arrows on the top right, to expand all of your windows. Your artboard is indicated by a white rectangle with a black bounding box. Your tools are preset on the left, and you have windows set up on the right. You can expand these by clicking on the double arrows at the top right. Illustrator is a vector-based program which deals with points and lines. Your main tools are going to be your regular selection and direct selection tools. For illustrating flats, we will be using the pen tool, the line segment tool, your shapes tools, the scissor tool, which is found in the eraser menu, the eyedropper, the fill, and the stroke colors. On the right, we'll be using your layers window, which is at the bottom, your stroke window, which has a tab here, as well as gradient and transparency, and your color swatches. Zoom in and out of Illustrator, you can click on the magnifying glass and click on your document to zoom in, or you can use the shortcut Control plus to zoom in, Control minus to zoom out. To move your page around, you can click on the hand tool, click on your page, and move to different areas on the page space. To differentiate between the two selection tools, I'm going to go to the Shapes tool and choose a rectangle. You also have an ellipse tool in here. If you need a perfect circle or a perfect square, you can use the Shift key. Hold down the Shift key, you're going to click and drag to create your shape. If you choose not to use the Shift key, you'll get a version of a rectangle. Same thing if you use the ellipse tool, you'll get a version of an ellipse or an oval. Okay? To get a perfect square or a perfect circle, you want to hold down the Shift key while you're dragging your shape. So the Shape tool, select your shape, click, drag, and release to create your shape. Right now, the menu is showing that I have a fill color here of white with an outline, so my stroke is black. If I look at the top, I can see that I have fill color of white, outline or stroke color of black, and then my line weight is at 1 point. I want to use regular selection to select my entire shape. I want to use direct selection to select a point or line. So if I want to select the individual point and manipulate it, that's direct selection. If I want to select my entire shape, you'll see a bounding box which will allow me to scale and rotate. And that's regular selection. Also, while in regular selection, I can change my fill and my stroke. So I'm going to switch back to fill, make sure that's in the front, and I can double click on the fill color. The color picker will pop up. I can choose from any range of these colors and a tint or shade of these colors, or I can input an Adobe code here. Once I click OK, my fill color has been changed. To take away a fill color, to have a transparent shape, I can click on None. To change my stroke color, I need to click on Stroke to make sure it's in the front, double click, and choose a color from the color picker. I can change the line weight on my stroke. In the stroke menu, if I want to go back and revert to a filled-in shape, I'm going to click on Fill and click Color. So it will fill my shape. I'm going to click on Stroke and click None to eliminate the stroke outline. Okay, the pen tool, I'm going to choose, the pen tool looks like the calligraphy pen. I'm going to select pen tool. I want to make sure that I don't have fill color, so I'm going to click on Fill and choose None. I want black line weight for my pen tool. I'm going to double click on Stroke, choose black, click OK, and I'm going to start to outline my flat, so I want a 3-point line weight. I can change the stroke weight here. To bring in your sketch of your technical flat, you want to do File, Place, find your file, and select Place, and it will bring in your picture image. Okay, at this point I can use regular selection to scale it if I need to. My image is surrounded by the blue highlight because I brought in a whole page as an image. So I'm going to actually go in and rotate it. Okay, and I can still see that my artboard is the black rectangle. And I can go in and scale this down if I need to. There's really no need for me to do that, so I'm going to leave it this way even though it is hanging off of my artboard. Okay. Links that you bring into Illustrator you need to embed. You can do this by selecting your image with regular selection, clicking Embed at the top, or you can go to Window, select Links. The Links window will open. Select your file, click on this small triangular icon in the top right, and you want to click Embed Image. Okay, once this icon appears, that means your image is embedded to your document file. Image is embedded. You want to go to your sketch layer and lock it. Next, you want to set up your outline layer. I'm going to go to the bottom of the layers window and click on Create New Layer and label layer 2 as outline. I want to go in and make sure that I've taken the fill off of my document and chosen a stroke color that's black and a line weight for my stroke that's 3-point line weight for the outline. Next, I want to set up my rulers. I can do this by going to View and selecting Rulers, Show Rulers, or I can use the shortcut Control R. Once I have my ruler set up, I can go in to set up my guidelines. Because this flat sketch is symmetrical, I'm going to set up a guideline at the center of my flat. I also want to set up a guideline at the very top of my flat, my empire waistline, and at the bottom of my flat. The next step is to go in to use the pen tool. I'm going to select the pen tool. And I'm going to start, I'm going to just zoom in, to trace around my flat sketch. I'm going to start at the very top edge of the outline of my flat. So I'm going to start here. Remember with the pen tool, it's click, click, and then the lines will connect. So at every angle where the direction of my line changes, I'm going to click. Once I have half of my outline traced, I want to go in with Convert Anchor Point tool, which is found in the pen tool menu, so that I can go in and adjust my curves. I'm going to click on an individual point, pull out the handlebars, and adjust my curve. Once I have pulled out my handlebars, I can release and then go in with my mouse and select an isolated handlebar so that I'm only adjusting one side of my line. Pull out the handlebars, release, and then I can isolate. Okay, once I'm happy with the traced outline of half of my flat, I'm going to go into regular selection, select my entire flat, and I'm going to copy and paste this half. So I'm going to edit, copy, edit, paste. This will copy and paste the second half of my flat. Next, I want to go to Object, Transform, Reflect, and I do want to click the preview window and reflect vertical. I'm going to select OK. I have two symmetrical halves of my flat. Next, I want to go in to line these two up. And this version of CS6, once you're lined up, a green highlight guideline will pop up so that I know that these are lined up. At this point, I want to clear my guidelines so that they're not involved in my selections when I join. So I'm going to View, Guides, Hide. Okay, at this point, I want to go in and join the two halves of my flat. I'm going to use direct selection. I'm going to zoom in. With direct selection, I can go in and create a small selection box just by clicking on the background, dragging and releasing, and I can see that my two endpoints are selected. When the endpoint is selected, it will be filled in with red. If an endpoint is not selected, it will be white on the inside. So again, I want to select my two endpoints only. I'm going to go to Object, Path, Join. That will join my two endpoints. If I need to change the shape of my line now that these points are joined, I can go to Delete Anchor Point tool, click on the point, and it will delete the point. If I then need to curve my line, I can go to Convert Anchor Point tool, isolate my handlebars, and then go in and curve my line. I want to do the same thing at the bottom where I have an opening to my shape. Direct selection. Click and drag a selection for the two endpoints. Go to Object, Path, Join. And I'm going to go in and delete. Make sure you click right on the point. Those 2 points, and then I can use Convert Anchor Point tool, isolate my handlebars, and curve the hem of my dress. Okay, once the outline is complete, I want to select it with regular selection and copy and paste. The shortcut for this is Control-C as in cat, Control-V as in victory. I want to make sure that my flats are diagonal and that my front view always appears first, and this will be my back view. I can now go on out and lock my outline layer and create a new layer and label this seams. Okay, on my seams layer, I need to switch to 2-point line weight. I'm still